Ferraris. You imagine what they must be like to drive. You imagine they must be so fragile that they need to be kept on life support, rarely taken out of a cozy warm garage and driven gently to a nice weekend away or a car show and then tucked right back in. Most who are lucky enough to own one end up doing just that. But not this one.
This is something else. When Ferrari developed this car, you just get a feeling that they pulled out all the stops like they knew this was going to be the last of something special. So Ferrari has a habit of adding incremental amounts of horsepower from one generation to the other, 30 or 40. Every once in a while they'll add a lot, like with the 430 before this they added 80 horsepower, so it wasn't really due for a big change, but with this car they pulled out all the stops. The engine in this car is just incredible. It's the very first road-going Ferrari engine that has direct injection, but somehow Ferrari still managed to not run out of pressure, and it revs to 9,000 RPM. Despite that, still it feels strong everywhere. I don't know how Ferrari did this, but it makes peak torque at just over 3,000 RPM, 80% of peak torque at just over 3,000 RPM. So I'm in 7th gear, barely 2,000 RPM. You put your foot down, and it goes, and it goes. Obviously a big part of that is the transmission. It's the very first dual clutch auto that Ferrari's ever put on a road going car. Even the Enzo before this didn't have a dual clutch, it had an automated manual. And it's also the first Ferrari to have no manual offered, only the dual clutch. You pull on it, it shifts instantaneously, and it's the last naturally aspirated Ferrari. You just get a feeling it's constantly tugging at the leash. I don't know how you could ever drive this car and not get your license suspended. It's not just the power either. This is the first Ferrari to have magnetic ride control, and Ferrari didn't invent this technology, but the way it's used here makes you think that they know it better than anyone else, because you put it in bumpy road mode, which is actually called bumpy road mode, and it feels like a luxury car. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's important to make a point that the change is transformational. It feels like a different car. I haven't driven any car with magnetic ride control that changes this much from one mode to the other, and I've driven probably 3 or 4 Camaros and Cadillacs that had it, and none of them changed that way. It's incredible, and somehow it's still so flat. You chuck this car into a corner and you get a feeling that you're not even scratching what this car can do. And it's in cold tires, cold Pirellis, which don't work in the cold at all. The steering is so quick. It's 2 full turns from lock to lock, which is quicker than some video games. It's unbelievable. And the car just sticks. I don't know how. It's a mid-engine car with no weight over the front axle, but it doesn't matter how fast you're going or what turn you're taking. It just sticks and it turns. And the weight is beautiful. That you don't get all the vibrations through the steering wheel, but trust me, you probably don't want that, because there's already an absolute assault on all your sensations. It's incredible. Because it's so low to the ground, you feel like you can just reach out and touch every tire. You feel like you can tell exactly what the car is doing, and if it hadn't been for the cold weather, you could probably chuck it into a corner at any speed and it won't let go. That's what it feels like in here. It's just incredible. And you have to slow down to 60 or 50, it feels like a punishment. I don't know how you can own this car and not take it to a track.
But despite all of that shouting and power, despite all the incredible handling and super fast steering, it somehow managed to settle down when you wanted to. You could really drive this car like a GT car, and it will devour long stretches of highway and hours of driving.
I just can't believe how much it transforms. It's just going in, well, we're going about 60 kilometers an hour now in 7th gear, bumpy road mode, and it just feels so docile. It's a little loud, but it just feels comfortable and livable, and it feels like a normal everyday car. You can cruise along under 2,000 RPM in an engine that revs to 9,000 RPM. I've never driven anything like this that was naturally aspirated, had no turbos, revs to 9,000 RPM and still has this much power and torque in the low RPM range. Everything about this car impresses. It just leaves you feeling like it's the most special car in the world, and in some ways it probably is.